All right. Yeah, we are satisfying the masses. They've all asked for the guy with the best customer service in the world, the guy that's in charge of everything is EJ himself. Welcome to Tech to Titan podcast. Thanks for joining me tonight, EJ.
Man, I'm pumped. I was wondering what took you so long to find me. You got my number. You're on my show. But here I am. What's up, Solid Steppers and Tech to Titans?
All right, guys. I hope you enjoy the podcast. EJ has been gracious enough to join us tonight. So what we're going to do is we're going to get to it. We don't waste no time over here at Solid Steppers, and we only talk to the Titans. Amen.
Amen.
So EJ, let's start talking a little bit about your background. All right. So let's talk about why appliance repair. Any trade you could have chose, any business, why appliance repair?
So you ready for story time?
Absolutely.
It's a story. So I graduated high school and went into the Navy directly after as an electrician, because when I was a punk high school kid, I didn't really know what I was going to do. But my dad had switched trades and he was going through HVAC. And that part didn't really interest me, but the electrical circuits did. That you could just move some wires and make some cool stuff happen. I never told him how cool it was, but I followed that path. So when I served my 4 years and went to get out, they had us go through a transition assistance program. It's like a week long, teaching us how to be regular humans again. And part of that was job placement. So a Sears rep came to the training and they were looking for people to work for Sears as appliance techs. And I said, I ain't got nothing else going on. Sure, why not? So I went back home, worked for the local Sears, and I did about 30 days of training with a guy. It's a big old guy, and he smoked big old cigars like that big around all day long. I rode with him for 4 weeks. They gave me at 22 years old a van full of parts and a laptop and said, go get it. And I did that for 3 more months, and I hated every bit of it, except for the fact that I had a van and I got paid from my house to my house. It took me a while to realize what I hated about it. And it wasn't anything to do with the appliances, but I was an electrician. I was an electrical technician in the Navy, and the military is kind of like the Union. So as an electrician, you only do things that have wires on them. You don't do mechanical stuff. I'm not a mechanic. So it came to the first day that I had to do a transmission job by myself on a top load washer. And we didn't cover this in training. And I was about an hour from home, and it was about 7 o'clock at night. And I had this washer tore apart all over this customer's kitchen. And nobody would answer my phone calls. Nobody would help me. And I said, I'm done. I'm out of here. I ordered a part and told them we'd be back and hope they wouldn't put it back on me. So after that, I went into industrial maintenance. And that's where, my bread and butter was technically. And I did that for, 18 years. And then appliances came back in my life. So I said, I ain't never working on another appliance in my life. So you want me to keep going with this part of the story?
Absolutely. I want to know how appliances came back. How did appliances come back in your life?
You asked the question. I got to answer it. I had got a pretty sweet gig working at a chemical agent plant for the Army. So it was a government gig. I was a government contractor, made big time money, but it was dangerous work, long hours, everything. And they had a really scrutinized background check. And I got a pass. Okay. Not as bad as some, but worse than others, and too bad to be considered for this. And but all of that was the past. But they also had a credit check, and I hadn't done the right things with my money, so I had to clean up my credit. I got put on to Dave Ramsey, the Financial Peace, every dollar app, and started hustling the baby steps. And part of that hustle was making sure that every dollar I spent meant something. And around that time, my wife started getting on my back about the dryer wasn't working. So the washer had been shaking for a while as a top load, needed some shocks. It had been shaking across the basement. It's an unfinished basement for a while. I wasn't touching it. I had done said, I ain't touching no more appliances. But then the dryer quit. Basic 2-roller dryer. And 2 weeks of nagging me, I finally had, okay, I'll get it. You don't have to remind me every 2 weeks. I went down and checked it out. Thermal fuse was blown. I did like any other technician homeowner would have done without the right stuff. I just jumped it out. Said, done. Solved that problem. And 2 weeks she was off my back. But then it happened again. Of course, it ain't the thermal fuse. So another 2 weeks went by again of her nagging, trying to get me to do this. I said, fine, I'll do it. Fix that. And, well, actually, just rewind a little bit. She had told me, don't even bother fixing it. Let's buy a new set. I said, well, we're doing the Dave Ramsey thing. We got a little bit of money. Let's go ahead and buy a set off of Marketplace. And we bought a set for $250. It was a direct drive washer, 2-roller dryer, matching set clean, $250. And she said, all right, I guess we'll just give these other ones away. I said, wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Give me a week. See what I can do. So I fixed the dryer the right way. And I found out that if I fixed the washer, I could probably make my money back. Or don't fix it and still make the same amount of money. So I sold the dryer and the washer as it was for $225. And then the fire was lit. The rest, as she says, is history. I said, ooh, that was fun. Let me try that again. And, one thing led to the other. Flipping didn't satisfy it. Plus, I had 3 washers and 3 dryers in our little laundry room at all times. And she got tired of not knowing which one she could use and which one she couldn't and how to use them. So we had to move on from that. Went into opened a used appliance store. I thought I was just going to be lazy and hang out at the shop, fix stuff, make a little cash, and go on. And then COVID happened. I had to pivot. Talk about business all the time. You can't set the plan and the process and forget it. It lives and breathes every day. I had to pivot. The market went towards service, so I went towards service.
Awesome.
Follow the path.
Awesome. So let's focus on this pivoting piece. So from what you just shared with us, it's apparent that you were pivoting before the business. Yeah. You follow me? You adjusted your financial situation by taking your finances and taking control of those, and putting structure and systems in place. And even with flipping the appliance, you came out on top. So at the end of the day, in your opinion, let's talk about, why do you think you had the ability to pivot when on a daily basis we talk and see people who keep running down a dead end street?
Man,
So what do you think? I mean, for real, because that's a real situation. I see it every day.
I'll say it this way. as an employee, a W-2 employee, I hated change. Like, I just wanted to leave it the way it is. I'll get as good as I can and make it better every day, and nothing changes. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? But as I come into owning a business, I realize that the status quo is losing. If you stay the same, you're being left behind. Look at the inflation of the dollar. You stack $1,000 in your pillow, and 10 years from now, it ain't gonna get you the same stuff. So if you want to keep going up, you got to move. And I've gotten accustomed to paying attention to the things around me that change. I'm big on stats and KPIs, and watching the things that happen around me. And I just realized it. It just came natural that I want to win, and more than I want to win, I don't want to lose. I can't lose. I love that the song that's my theme song for my business is by NF, Options. And in the chorus, he goes on for about a minute each chorus. Says, I got to make it or make it. These are the options. Like, you can't take a break. You don't sit down. You don't get complacent, and you don't let just things happen to you. You got to pay attention. I'll tell you, as COVID came in, I noticed really quickly that they closed the small businesses, but Lowe's and Walmart could have 500 people in it. I got this little tiny store that two people could be 20 feet away from each other, and it's fine, but I can't be open, but they can have 500 people in Lowe's. I noticed that they closed manufacturing plants. When they say everybody stay home, all non-essential employees, that meant factories. If they weren't making food or medical supplies or something very essential, then they go home. And I noticed that Lowe's started running out of appliances. Well, what are they going to do? They got to fix it. And I can't fix all of the appliances if I'm sitting in a store waiting for them to let me open the door, waiting on the government to say I can have my business back. No, I ain't waiting. I'm gonna go make something happen. I don't know how to answer it any better, but it's just inside of you. If you pay attention, you have to move. If you're standing in fire and your feet get hot, what do? You get the heck out the fire. You move, keep moving.
So next question is, how were you able to balance, your family life, your relationship with your wife, your kids, while starting a new business and learning the business and growing the business? What has been the key to that balance?
Well, I can't say I got that answered, figured out quite yet. I'm getting better every day, but I did like anybody else, and I put everything I had into it. I was working 50-hour weeks and an hour away from home. So, I mean, I was 15 hours every work day away from home. And then on the days off, because I had a rotating schedule, kind of one of them 3 and 2, 12 schedules, but it flipped days and nights. So I had days each week where I would load up my schedule. If I wasn't working there, I was working for me, and just stacking up money, paying off debt, stacking it up. And when we got all the debt paid off, we started stacking more, and bought a house and stacked some more. And what I used to do was I had a desk put in my man cave where me and my wife watched TV, and the kids would come in sometimes. And I called my quality family time, the time that I sat at my desk with Netflix in the background and my family sitting on the couch. It wasn't quality time, but it's the sacrifice I made. Do I recommend doing it that way? I can't say it, but it worked for me, and with marginal success. Right, I still have my family. Uh, I made the moves just like the pivots before. When I can't handle that anymore, I made a change. I hired my office help to handle my phones and do my booking and scheduling. That's one thing I didn't have to do every night. You know what I mean? I started hiring techs to do some of the work so I can focus on the stuff in the daytime. Uh, I had to get to the point, and I probably didn't do this until about a year and a half ago. Don't even pay attention to work messages on the phone after 6 o'clock. When I walk in the door, whatever time it is, really, when I walk in the door, I'm done with work. And it was really hard for me because it's your business, it's your life. Mine has my name on it. You can see back there. Every time there's a complaint, I take it personal, but I have to tell myself, it'll be all right till tomorrow. I'll take care of it tomorrow. But you got to set aside that time. Well, one thing I do, speaking of now, not the starting time, but you got to know your why. And my why is so that I can have that freedom and flexibility to be dad and husband and enjoy my life. I watched my dad work all the way to his death. And I know he didn't want to, but he did it because that's what men do. I was taught by him, learn a trade, provide for your family, take care of them. And he showed me working Saturdays every week and coming in late on Saturdays, because he's working. But I also saw that and respected it in him. But I also learned from that too, that, okay, I need to be willing to do that, but I need to make some steps. I need to take these steps to not do that, to not have to. So I prioritize my kids' events. I got kids in sports and a daughter in FFA, and we make sure to celebrate them whenever they do something. We're there with them when they need us. It's important.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, since you were able to successfully transition out of the W-2 into the business side, full time, and go on to where you actually been able to hire staff and put systems in place, what do you think was key in your ability to transition out of that W-2 into where you are now? What do you think, if you had to pick 5 things, what were those 5 things that made the difference?
All right. I didn't pre-prepare this. I'll tell you guys, she didn't give me a list of questions. So I'm in the hot seat. So number 1, get your personal finances in order. You heard my story. It kind of fed into the business, but it couldn't have went as well without it. So I spent the first 2 years building up my business's reputation, and any extra that I had went either to the debt, and then when that was paid off, went back into the business. I know you was talking about moving all the stuff you had in storage. I did the same thing. When I was starting out, I had extra money. I bought tools all the time. I bought parts by the 5s. If I used it twice, I bought 5 of them. I wanted to have it. I knew that if I had the stuff, I could fix it faster and leave a spot open. So I stacked up a good little stack, probably about 25,000. And I really wanted to save some more, but I had to move on. That leap is tough. Dave Ramsey says, get the boat closer to the dock before you jump. So what he means in that is get your finances up to the level where you're pretty close or you maxed out with the time you have before you jump to this lower pay initially, that if you dedicated the rest of that time, you would meet or exceed the income, right? So number one, finances in order. Number two, establish a strong reputation for your business. I came out of a small town, Mount Sterling, Kentucky. It's 30 minutes east of Lexington. And Lexington's not a huge town, okay? We're talking 400,000. Mount Sterling might have 20-something thousand in the county. But there was little representation. I paid attention before I even knew the steps. I checked out my competition. You gotta study the market, right? Analyze it. Who's doing what you want to do? How they do it? What's their reputation? What are they good at? What are they bad at? What are they charging? What don't they fix? For example, a lot of my first calls was, do you work on Samsung? Nobody works on Samsung. Well, heck yeah, I work on Samsung. What's a Samsung? Okay, I figured it out. And now Samsung pays my bills. Thank you. So study your market and establish your reputation. I decided I wanted to be the kind of business that people could trust in their home, where they feel like they're dealing with somebody they can trust. I've changed that, evolved that into, I want them to feel like they're dealing with professionals. Not just that they trust us, but we are professional from everything you see. You see the logos on the shirt, got logos on the hat, the vans are decaled, website is clean, 5-star reviews. That's what it is. So we're going into number 3 there. 2 was study the market. 3 is build your reputation. And for the market, I wanted to get to the point where on Facebook, if anybody said, do you know anybody that works on appliances? You've seen that. And all of the responses were people other than me. And I said, if I can get this to where half of them are me, I'm going to have this city locked. And it was a small city. It took me about 6 months until I started seeing EJs, this place, EJs, not this place, EJs. And I'm like, okay, we got it. And I did what I call the little bighorn. Started in the small city, established myself as I grew closer to the big city of Lexington. And now I brought that reputation into the big city after I went full time. So number 4, I would say processes. Pay attention to how you do things so that it can be repeated. Okay. People want to know what's the first hire you make? Wait, for me and most techs, I'm a tech. I don't answer phones. I can. It wears me the heck out, and I ain't got patience for it. I had a customer I asked one day, it was an older feller in the country. See how my voice changes when I say it, in the country. And I said, okay, I understand your dryer's out. What's your name? He told me his name. I said, okay, what's your address? Wrong question. 2.5 minutes, and not one word out of his mouth contained his address. He explained everything else, and I said, "Do you have a mailbox?" Another 30 seconds, he told me what the mailbox looked like, and I said, "Does it have a number on it?" I'm done. I don't have time for this. So the CSR is the first one, but how do you do it, right? How do you want them to answer your phone? How do you want them to put the calls on the schedule? Start with the things that you're not good at or you don't like doing, and write them down. And number 5, we're talking how to go full time. I mean, when you get those 4 things in line, just do it. How's that for number 5?
That's awesome. So, in order to, there are a couple of things and that I think are very unique. One is your ability to just flood the market with 5-star reviews. You early on learned the importance of getting those reviews and how they allowed you and your team to stand out. First of all, how did you come up with the concept? What made you a believer, and how did you get to the level you are now?
That's a good question. I got to go way back here. I'm going to say some names that some of y'all know and some of you may not. Before I got into the Facebook groups and built the reputation I have in the industry now, I watched people like Miss Ward, Mike Check, DC Appliance, and TK Cousins. And I just paid attention to how other people were doing things. And then I got into the Facebook group by doing an interview with TK. He interviewed me kind of like you're doing. How'd you get into it? What do you want to do? And I was still part-time. The funny thing was, here comes story time again. When we recorded that, it happened to be a month before I went full-time. And in that, I was saying, I don't know, like 5 years from now, maybe I'll be able to go full-time. I might have a tech or 2. Maybe 10 years, I might have 3 or 4 or 5. And here I am. A year later after that, I had 2 techs and most professional servicer for UASA at ASTI. And now I got 4 people working for me, and we're doing the thing. So back to the question. You said, I forgot the question.
But it's all good. I mean, you pretty
The
much let
reviews.
us, reviews.
All right. So I told you how I got into the Alliance group and got to have TK as one of my close buddies. Alex Tiberi, the marketing guy, he was doing roundtables on YouTube. And it was once a month at the end of the month. I know you was on a few. I heard you talking about it. I started getting onto it and paying attention. And it was Bobby Howard. Shout out to Bobby in St. Louis. Rub some people the wrong way sometimes, and he knows it, but the man knows his stuff too. And you got to pay attention to the game. He made a comment one day about reviews, and this was before I really had any. I had maybe like 25 5-star reviews. And he said, you get on average 6 customers a day, 20 days a month. Can you get one to give you a 5-star every day? He said, whatever you do on all the other jobs, one of them, you got to give it everything you got. Top level professional service, complete added value. You knock it out the park at least one time a day. Can you do that? And I was like, well, shoot, if I do that, I have 20 a month. Why do it just one time? I won't do it every time. And we kind of played with some ideas on how to ask for the review. And I wrote a whole presentation. We haven't done it yet, but 5 steps to 5 stars. And I'll give away the secret. Secret is number 4. Ask for it. People genuinely want to help, but they don't know how. Ask, hey, you know, I hope you're satisfied with your service. We aim to deliver five-star level service. If you feel like you have, do you mind to give us a review? I think at the time Bobby was saying, we're in a competition. Whoever wins each month gets a steak dinner or whatever. And I was a one-man show. So I was like, well, yeah, I'm competing with TK and Zach. That's it. It's true. I don't know. I just got fired up about it. Like, I wanted to have that pristine reputation. And what other way to do it than 5 stars? So that's how.
That's awesome.
There's 4 other steps to it, but I won't give them all away. But it all starts with your reputation. Lay the groundwork.
I agree. I agree. So one of the final questions I have for you is the technical piece. What price did you pay for the technical learning curve? Because we all have paid it who weren't born in the industry, or what, this wasn't our original profession or transitioning in. So number one question is, what price did you pay? And how did you repair the technical learning curve? How did you address that?
You know, you know the answer, and it's a loaded question, because there ain't a number, and that's the hard part. Is who knows how much money I've lost due to lack of education, and it ain't lack of trying, but I started out. I only had 4 months experience, 18 years prior. A lot happened since then. VMWs were just starting to come out, like the whole key dance on the Whirlpool top load. That had just come out. A lot happened in the 18 years. So I knew how to fix things. Being in maintenance, I've been to different factories and different plants, and I just learned how to pay attention how something works and then figure out how to fix it. The hard part for me was figuring out how to get the heck inside of them. We've all had that, right? YouTube University, shout out to YouTube. I used YouTube a lot because I didn't have a support system until I got into Facebook and started hooking up with people in the industry and building up that network. So the Appliance Alliance group has helped out a lot. People in there sharing their wisdom. I'll tell you, the second part of that is, if I ran into something I didn't know, I didn't just say, okay, I don't know that. I didn't say, I don't know how to fix a Samsung fridge, so I'm not going to fix them anymore. If nobody else wants to do it, I'm going to figure out how to do it. And I immerse myself in that topic until I figure it out. And still now, being mostly in the office, I'm somewhat tech support, even though I'm not a great appliance tech. I'm just a tech. I know how to find information. So the guys will call me from the field. I get a model number, and I go to servicealliancegroup.com, pull up the tech sheets, and I can tell them line for line, wire for wire, what they should be testing, where they go. If they need help finding a part, I know how to find stuff. And the other side of that is you have to want to. If you want to be the best, you got to do what the rest ain't doing. You got to do more than the rest. I think it was Thomas Jefferson that says, if you want things you ain't never had before, you got to do things you ain't done before. You got to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that reminded me of a quote I heard actually today from Eric Coffey over at GovCon. And he was talking about how in America, We are so spoiled because we want a guaranteed result. If I do this, I want to be guaranteed the outcome's going to be that. And when he was saying that, I thought about how so many people don't step out here and give it they all, or when things get tough, they give up because they're expecting the payoff to happen immediately when they don't understand there's certain things called 10,000 hours of mastery.
Yeah.
And you're not going to see any profit, you feel me, until you give it, till you leave it on the field. And even when you leave it on the field, you got to be ready to pivot. You
Yeah.
know, just like how I'm not a football person, but I know that I've seen these running games. I see the quarterbacks now that don't just throw, but they run into the, zone now. That 20 years ago was unheard of.
Yeah.
But you see how the sport adapts. And I think in our industry, we are seeing a rising tide of those of us who pivot on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
Like for me personally, my personal testimony is the fact that when I got into it, my ideas were frowned upon, how I moved was frowned upon, but I didn't allow it to stop me because I understand that some people walk through life with blinders on. They get comfortable in a lane, and then when that brook dries up, they're looking crazy. Well, Miss Ward
Yeah.
is never going to be in that space because I'm constantly growing and changing and working on me because I don't know everything, but I want to be the best no matter what I do, and I'm willing to pay the price to do that. And that's why I'm so privileged to have you as a member of my personal roundtable. A phone call I could pick up when it's getting rough, or I run into a roadblock, and we just want to talk smack and chuckle. And I appreciate that, and I want to make sure it's publicly known on this podcast. I consider you a friend, a confidant,
Completely.
and one of my heroes, bro.
I don't know. I was thinking before we talked, before we got on here, the pre-roll. I was like, man, you believe this? I'm friends with Miss Ward. It's nuts. She's just telling me personal stuff and joking and who knows what. And I thought the same thing about TK. Like TK, I got to see TK and hug him. Like I'm still waiting for that day we get to actually meet in person and
Mhm.
and get you around the arms. Uh, but that's good stuff, And I wanted to add another part of the story. While I was still part time, building the business with a full time job, more than full time job, I didn't work on refrigerators because Sears had me as a laundry tech, laundry and cooking. The refrigerator guys, they did only refrigerators. I didn't get to do that. And I would just turn down refrigerators. I'd send them to somebody else. And one day, I got 6 refrigerator calls in one day, and I got sick. I was mad. That night, I spent 3 or 4 hours on YouTube looking up every possible problem that I could think of for a refrigerator. Watched a lot of stuff. Shout out to Bill Newberry. I've heard he's passed, but some of the best refrigerator videos there. The Samurai troubleshooting guide, the flow diagram. Those things helped me. I found a local guy that I could call and ask questions to, and I'll tell you, the very next day, I started taking refrigerators. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but everybody got taken care of, whether I had to spend extra hours, multiple trips or not. I didn't have anybody I could just go ride with, but I'm gonna figure it out. And now I love working on fridges more than anything, except for the bottom mounts. I don't really like laying down there.
Yeah, unless it's an ice maker. 2 screws, zoop, zoop, zoop.
Yeah. If I don't have to take that whole door and the drawer out, I'm good. If I got to lay down there and steaming. My favorite part about that job is taking the before picture, and then I go in and I'll steam my phone number or EJ's in it, and then take a picture. After that, I don't really care. I want to get up and let somebody else do it.
I know that's right, man. Your work is done here. Exactly. Well, you
That's
the
right.
boss, you can do that, man. Well, it's definitely been a pleasure, man. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being my guest. And man, the sky's the limit, man. I watch you grow every day. I watch you make the hard choices. I watch you take care of your family, your wife, your kids. And I
Mhm.
watch you be I like to call you the diplomat, man, because you friends with everybody because you just that dude with that integrity and and the other thing I love about you, EJ, is the fact that you're a true man of God. Like literally, like you don't just talk it. I see it in how you live your life. It's the best sermon you could ever preach is how you live your life. So I'm honored and privileged to know you, man. And thanks for joining me on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
That's the best compliment you can give me. That's all I ever want to do in my life is live a life that when people see me, they see him. Uh, and we live that every day in our life with our family. And, you can see it in the way that my family acts, my kids. I'm glad it's being noticed. Can we do a shameless plug?
Absolutely. You know it.
Shout out to servicealliancegroup.com. Check it out. We've got a website platform with all the manuals. If we ain't got it, we can find it. If we can't find it, you don't need it. We got procedures, processes, leadership training, and we're hosting an event, a 1 day in person event, December 2nd in Richmond, Virginia. If you go to servicealliancegroup.com, you'll see the banner at the top of the page. Shout out to Miss Ward. She's going to be there.
Absolutely.
Maybe you don't care about me, but you want to see Miss Solid Steps to Wealth, the boss, Miss Ward. You might want to come out here to Richmond. Check us out. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you for having me. This is
No
so
problem.
cool. It's like meeting your hero, but it's not as bad as they say it is. I can't believe I'm on Solid Steps to Wealth.
Yeah, so down in the description, and you'll see the links for uh, the Service Alliance group to sign up. Also, you'll see the links for the conference in December. And I will be there. I'm very selective of where I go because I value my time, but I also make sure that I'm affiliated with winners only and people that are going places. And I mean, that's just grown folks' business, man. And these guys have never let me down. They always have my back, and I appreciate them. And as I stated, we're also going to put a link down there for my office help. We're going to put a link down there for Mike's,
Mike Carson,
Mike Carson for the web
ITD Web
design.
Design.
Yep, ITD. So that's what we do. We support each other. This is what a round table looks like. So at the
Yep.
end of the day, thanks again, EJ. Solid Steppers, you asked for it. The man with the plan, EJ's on the Tech to Titan podcast. Have a great night, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Be blessed.
Man, that was fun. You're good at this.